What is up, friends? Welcome. Come on in, grab your seat, get a snack. It's an open bar. We have coffee. We have Bloody Marys, my favorite mix. It is from Charleston, South Carolina. Bold and spicy is my preference. Get yourself some pickles and some olives to put in there. That's how I like it. If you want to go hotter, we have some Tabasco. So tell me where you are today. Where are you sipping on this coffee, this Bloody Mary? Let me see you in the chats. What's up, Andy? Andy Katzmanis is here. What a great guy. Old friend. Andy and I have been friends since I started in this business. Great to see you, Andy. A leader in this space of financial copywriting. Good to see Jason. Congratulations to Jason Hakes, who is our new head badassador inside of Copy Chief. That means he's the guy helping to coordinate all of our incredible ambassadors, A-list copywriters who help all of our members write better copy, navigate their way through this industry. What makes our community great is the members and the BAs. So thank you, Jason, for all the great work you're doing. Good to see a lot of our friends from Escape Velocity, which is smack dab in the middle of the course right now. That's where we help copywriters launch or relaunch their freelancing career. My man Jon Decamp is here, several others, lots of our members, and even some friends who are not members. Chief Chats on Fridays here are always open to the public. It is a public service that we like to host, and kind of like a town hall. We learn things that can help your career, help your writing, answer your questions, get to know you. It's always an open format. So along the way, if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A section there, and we will make sure to get to them. We do have a tight 1 hour time limit to respect everybody's Friday. And so we will move as quickly as we can. Great to see Dave Maswery here. I'm glad you're here, Dave. Dave is a perfect example of what you can do with financial copywriting. And that is, of course, our topic for today. And so the way I want to start is I want to hear from you on a scale of 1 to 5 in the comments, 5 being the highest. What level of interest do you have right now in becoming a financial copywriter? Just want to gauge the room. 1 to 5. 5, 4, 4. Yep, 1. Sherry has very little interest. Thank you for coming anyway, Sherry. Alexandra, low. Christy, low. A lot of 5s, a lot of 4s, a couple 3s. Awesome. Yep, not sure. Hoping you can change my mind. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. So that's important because I want to tell you quickly to kick us off here, my experience with financial copywriting. I wrote a few financial offers when I was actively freelancing. And I had a good and a bad experience with it. What do you want to hear first? You like good news or do you like bad, man? Bad. Look at you guys. Drama. Everybody loves drama. Bad. Give me the ugly stuff first. Okay. The bad one was a Forex trading system, and nothing wrong with Forex, foreign exchange, where you're basically trading currencies across the globe based on their value. And it was the product owner who, I didn't jibe with. And so what, he wanted, I say us, at the time I was partnered with Ben Johnson, who, was my co-writer for 5 years of my freelancing career. And he wanted us to write, there was a trend. This was a ClickBank product. And there was a trend on ClickBank around this time. This is probably, 2008, 9, 10 in there, where everything was this outrageous adventure story, right? I don't know if any of you guys were around then or remember this. but it was kind of silly. It was, and this guy really wanted this kind of hypey copy. It was like, there's a secret thumb drive that holds this special data that unlocks the code to dominating the Forex market, blah, 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 blah. And this, Russian let it fall out of his backpack at the bar. And this other guy found it, just really ridiculous stuff. And he wanted that type of copy. And Ben and I, wasn't our style. So, we had some fun with it. I knew the guy's ultimately his product and system was pretty legit. After writing a couple of those, they did well, but we were just like, man, this isn't our guy. This isn't our tone. So we basically fired the client. So that was the bad one. No true trauma or, nobody was hurt in the making of the story, but it did give me a little bit of a bad taste for, let's call it sort of low level financial copywriting. And then a while after that, we ended up writing with Timothy Sykes, who's a pretty famous trader. He specializes in penny stocks, or at least was back then. And Tim was a great guy, like really legit, really cared about his people. Like us, didn't use or care for that kind of really hypey, distractive copy. And, so we wrote 2 or 3 promos with Tim that did really well. And that was a great experience because he was a great client and he's still out there and he's still thriving. And so, ultimately I didn't pursue more opportunities to write financial copywriting, partly because I think I let my sort of lack of confidence on the topic, because I didn't grow up around money. I didn't know anybody who actively traded in my life. It was just kind of a black hole of knowledge for me. And so I was like, it's, not for me, not my thing. And I just didn't pursue other opportunities in that. I knew that financial copywriting was sort of the top tier then, but I was doing okay with different kinds of products. And so I didn't pursue it. But looking back now, it's kind of one of those things where I wonder, man, I definitely missed some opportunities by having that attitude. I've seen, since then, I'm probably the top recruiter for Agora, and built Grant Cardone's entire copy team through Copy Chief. And I've seen more lives of copywriters literally changed. Lives changed when they discover financial copywriting. And we're going to talk today about some of the myths, again, ones that I adopted and, developed my own limiting beliefs around, that I think if like our friend, I think it was Sherry, wants her mind changed about how you think about financial copywriting, this call is for you today. And the reason is, like I said, I have countless stories of people who are now, to use a hackneyed phrase, living their best lives, thriving in their business, making more money than they probably ever expected, because they discovered that financial copywriting was something they could do, something they actually ended up falling in love with. Whereas before that, and I've known these people their whole careers, lots of them, it just wasn't on their radar. They weren't interested. They just, like me, thought, nah, not my thing. I don't spend any time, watching news about it. I don't follow stocks. I don't follow the market. It's just not my thing. That's actually kind of a good thing. You're going to find out today. So I want to give you 3 reasons why you should definitely get savvy about and cozy with the idea of financial copywriting. Okay. Number 1, earning potential is far and away the highest in finance, just bar none. It's the only market where copywriters can become millionaires within a year or 2. I've seen it many times. People who just have some raw talent, they get with the right team, They write, a couple of big promos, and again, life's changed. Happens, I wouldn't say like every day, but I'd say once a year I hear about a new person who achieved that kind of out of nowhere. And, like I said, gets with the right team, writes some big promos, and that's it, lights out. Number two, it is the hungriest market for copywriters. The publishers who run, companies in Agora, like Stansberry, these other companies, are not only willing to pay good money for newer copywriters who they want to help develop. So you're getting paid to learn, to train, but they'll often move somebody if they want them to be in-house from around the world. Stansberry right now, as you may know, just held an open application event where they invited people to submit. They chose, I think, 17-ish people to come to one of their big idea brainstorm meetings, meet everybody, show them how the company works, right? And then from there, they chose 8 people that they want to, they're strongly considering hiring. And now they're going through a practicum for 90 days to really decide who exactly they want to invest in. And the reason they're taking so many steps to do that is because for the right fit, they are willing to pay for somebody to move from another country, deal with all the work visas and, all that expense to come live near their offices so that they can be a part of the team. Right now, that's pretty incredible. Where else could you be so coveted in this business to have a proposition like that? With that, I want to quickly break the first myth about financial copywriting, and that is that you have to move your life and move to the town where your publisher lives in order to get work. That was a lot more true before the pandemic. Since the pandemic, it's just not the case anymore. There are only, in fact, Stansberry is the only one I know for sure who still has that rule. They just, and for very legit reasons, they want their team in-house. It's just the best way to help people grow, to be in the mix, to have the conversations at the water cooler that people are having, to just really, be part of a living, breathing team. There were several other companies before pandemic who had that same rule, who have now let it go because they learned, as so many companies did, that this can be done very effectively in a remote setting, right? And so more opportunity than ever to do remote work as a financial copywriter. You do not have to move to Baltimore or to Florida or wherever else to take advantage of this anymore. And then, of course, the third reason, and I think this is maybe the most important one, if you're a 2 or 3 or even a 1 on the interest level right now in this, and that is undisputedly the best copywriters in the world work in finance. That's it. Number 2 is a huge drop, maybe health, right? But think of all the really well-regarded copywriters, how many of them never wrote financial copy? I can't think of any that never wrote it. Maybe not like Clayton Makepeace. They weren't known for it. They weren't like innovators in it. But Pennsylvania, Carlton, all the greats that we look up to and go, now this is somebody to learn from. 90+% finance, right? And so the thing for you is, not only is the greatest opportunity to earn, to have constant, steady work, but to grow as a copywriter. It is the ultimate badge you can have as a copywriter. If you, sort of like the Sinatra song, right? If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. because across the entire industry, anybody who's aware of direct response copywriting in any niche whatsoever, they know if you have experience and had some success writing financial copywriting, you are top tier. You're going to bring things to their project in whatever market it is that other people just can't, because you've sort of like kind of being a Navy SEAL of copywriting, right? You are just elite. You have worked alongside the best minds in the industry. You've done the hard work to develop the skills in the most competitive industry. And so at least paying attention to what goes on in financial copywriting, understanding the promos, understanding the way they market, what they do differently with video sales letters, the way they conduct webinars. It's just, it just makes you better, far better, and will advance your skills and your development faster than anything else. Okay. So those are the 3 reasons that this is important. And I want to bring on my friend Joshua Lee Henry, because Joshua is in many ways the poster child of what this can look like. There he is. Hey, Joshua. Good
Hello.
to see you. I talked about this changing lives. And I know that can sound like hyperbole. So if you would give us a quick version of your story before and after you discovered financial copywriting.
Yeah, you know, my story of financial copywriting and my story of freelance copywriting are really the same. June 1st of 2018, I was unexpectedly fired from my 3rd job in 6 years. At the time, my wife and I had our 2nd child on the way. My father had passed just a few months before, also unexpectedly. And so we had to cover his funeral expenses, which pretty much drained our savings account. The job I was in, it wasn't doing well. So we were being paid not enough. I was trying to find another job and couldn't get hired anywhere. And then I was fired at like the worst possible time when we had, you know, less than $300 in our savings account and going through this grieving process with my father and had a 2nd child on the way. And so I remember sitting at the Panera Bread because the internet service that we had wasn't even that great. We lived out in the sticks here in the Midwest of Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I went to a Panera Bread that morning. And I kid you not, Kevin, I plugged in my laptop, you know, a laptop from, you know, it was 10 years old at the time. And I'm not joking. I tell you, as God is my witness, my power cord caught fire. This was on, I got fired June 1st of 2018. It was a Friday. That Monday, I got to Panera Bread at 8 a.m. Like, I've got to make something happen. I've got to go get some clients. This freelance copywriting thing can work. How do I do it? How do I get paid? Where's the money at? Let me go to Panera Bread because I don't have good internet at my home. I plug in the power cord for my laptop and it catches on fire.
So you got fired and
so
then caught fire.
Yeah. Like that was the start of how I started my freelance copywriting career. We had less than $300 in the bank and the mortgage was due. So this would be June 4th now, that following Monday from the June 1st. Mortgage is due at the end of the month, you know, $861. And I just had to make it work, dude. I mean, like, it's amazing what you can do when you have to do something.
Yeah.
It is amazing what you can do when you have to do something. And I just started, you know, busting tail, making phone calls, doing, you know, literally while I was praying that my car wouldn't get towed. I had parked in a parking spot downtown and was literally cold calling on businesses downtown, carrying my laptop and a notepad and just trying to pitch copywriting. And I'm still green to the industry. Had never freelanced, had never been paid to write anything.
Wow.
I heard an episode with Mark Ford that you had done on Copy Chief Radio around that time, and picked up some good advice from him, some good quotes, learned about financial copywriting. And within 3 months of that, Kevin, I had my first gig with a major financial publisher.
Wow.
Within 3 months of that. Now, there was a lot of work and stress and sleepless nights and, you know, just connections and just favor and just, you know, opening of doors and putting in the work to make it happen. But since then, I've been writing financial copy since, like I said, September of 2018. I've been full-time as a full-time independent contractor for Agora since 2020, first with Money Map, and now the last 2 years with Banyan Hill. And I'm making more money than I ever imagined. So that's exciting, because the truth is, there is a very, very lucrative opportunity in financial. And it doesn't even mean when you get to writing full-length promos. As a short form copywriter, there is money to be made with royalties, just writing emails and advertorials. I get to work at home. If you can see, I'm in a 50 by 40 barn that I have on my property. I live in the woods. We've got 8 acres in the woods. I get to see my kids every day. I just had lunch with my wife and kids before coming onto this. And so I get to work at home. I make good money. I enjoy what I do. And I work with a great team. And even in this current market environment, which I'm sure we'll probably talk about, life is good. Life is good.
Talk a little bit about, you say you heard that interview with Mark Ford. What clicked to change how you thought about financial copywriting and made you pursue it?
So many things. One of the big lessons I had learned from him was that money loves speed. Money loves speed. At the same time, I was reading the old back issues from the Gary Halbert letters, free online. The two of the, aside from Copy Chief, right? I know we've got members here that aren't a part of Copy Chief, and I love Copy Chief. And if you're not a member, I strongly think that you should be a member. But even beyond that, two of the best copywriting resources you can get started with if you're new to your career are the Gary Halbert letter free online and the Gary Bencivenga free bullets online. It's cool that their names are both Gary, but I was reading one of the Gary Halbert letters, and in that he had said that movement beats meditation. Movement beats meditation. And Mark Ford taught me that money loves speed. You put those two together and you put yourself in the flow of money. And if you're able to add value, give solutions to problems that real people have, you can be compensated very nicely for that. And so Mark Ford, I remember I listened to the Joe Schriefer episode that you did, and Joe Schriefer is like, we're hiring copywriters. Agora is always hiring copywriters. Come email me. So I emailed Joe Schriefer. I'm, stalking him. I'm emailing Mark Ford. He doesn't have a clue who I am. And I'm just putting myself in position to where people see that I'm willing to take action, that I'm hungry, that I'm intellectually curious, and that I've got some modicum of talent. And if that's you watching today, then I had no different advantage than what you have if you have those qualities right now. If you are hungry, if you are intellectually curious, if you're willing to put yourself in the flow of money and take action, drive results, that's the same stuff I had when I started.
Yeah. Pure, I talk endlessly about momentum and just having some energy, whether it's fear, whether it's enthusiasm, and you got to put it somewhere. You got to give it a direction. You had both. You had desperate need to make a change. You, I'm sure, had tons of fear and anxiety. I mean, 3 months feels fast, but in your reality at the time, with no money, with dealing with traumatic loss, with the 2 young children in the house, every day feels like the fire's still burning. And so that's why, and I don't want to jump ahead, but there's a big problem in this industry. And I'm glad Andy's here. Maybe Andy will come on and comment on this, because I've worked with Andy in the past to help him find and hire copywriters. There's a major hiring problem in the world of financial copywriting. And I know this because when we did our live events, we would always do a really cool thing. We called them the round tables. And I'd seen, of course, the live events were like everything great we do in Copy Chief in one room, essentially for 3 days. And a big part of what we do in Copy Chief is helping connect companies and copywriters that go on and do great work together. And so to represent that, we created 12 round tables, and we put hiring companies at each of the tables. And then we took groups of 10 to 12 copywriters and we moved them through those tables for 15 minutes at a time. We flipped the script on this kind of speed dating job fair approach where you have to approach an individual and wait in line maybe to talk to them, and then you're nervous, and then there's all this pressure. Instead, we said, let's let these introverted, shy writers stay in a group of safety together and all get to hear from people who want to hire them and ask questions, hear other answers to other people. It worked tremendously. I think 4, 5, 6 contracts were signed soon after that live event, all with financial publishers. I was like, wow, these other, there were other hires, other projects, but I saw firsthand how hungry they were in financial, and that, again, not just hires, but moving people. One guy, Jacques Hartman, it was literally the first time he'd ever been on an airplane to come to Copy Chief Live. A couple months later, he's living in Delray, working with Legacy, went on, it completely changed his life. And so, but in Carolyn Ananian, right? Another of our incredible ambassadors, met and started through those roundtables going, this financial thing is different than I thought it was. This might be a thing for me. She's now at Stansbury, right? She's thriving. I think, Joshua, you first met Aaron DeHogue, who you work with now at Copy Chief Live, right? And so, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that kind of goes back to that myth you said about having to relocate. In 2019, I was unwilling to relocate, and he said, "Hey, we'd love to have you come move down to Florida." Money Map said, "Come move to Baltimore." And I was like, "I can't do that. I can't." For some people, that was the right decision, and that it worked well for them. But times have changed now. You know what I mean? Yeah. And kind of that book gets so good to where they can't ignore you. You know what I mean? 3 years later, Aaron's calling me to recruit me for Money Map to join him at Banyan, or 2 years later, so
stay on the farm. I just want your talent. We got Dave Maswery here, who lives in Brazil, writing for very high level of financial publishers. They ain't asking him to show up at the office, right? So anyway, point being, I saw this hunger. They would hire me. Not only would they sponsor the event, because they all wanted to get in front of the writers who were there once they saw the quality of the people in Copy Chief compared to some other communities, and they would pay me to recruit for them all year. Hey, if you hear of somebody who's looking, or if they're interested, send them to me. This was great. A lot more connections got made, and people went on to do good work. However, there was a big problem. They didn't have a process for nurturing new talent, right? So I would meet somebody who was really on fire to write financial copy. They had some decent talent. I'd say, okay, email Joe Schriefer. And Joe, an incredibly busy guy, was really slow to get back to them. And I used to say to Joe all the time, Joe, you sure you want me to give him your email address? Can we create some kind of little funnel where they'll know that their stuff was at least seen, and somebody, an assistant or somebody, can say, this is when Joe will look at it, and no, it's fine, I'll get to it, And so it's just a victim of everybody being so slammed in that industry. It's a very fast moving industry. And so we had this big problem. And so what we did was, after Copy Chief Live 2021, the virtual one, I went to Aaron, who you work with now, Joshua, and I said, hey man, what if we could train copywriters in Copy Chief to be great writers for you, not just, during the event or after the event, what if we just had a way to teach them, so that we could be taking people, meeting them at their passion, helping them discover this world, and making them the best possible candidates for you to hire next. And he's like, I love it. Enter Joshua Lee Henry, who was already a badassador in our community. And we created a thing called the World of Financial Copywriting as a playground, as a platform to do exactly that. And Joshua did 7 trainings. Every month he would do a new training. He was breaking down promos. He was bringing you inside to how the teams work. He was sharing the results of different ads. More importantly, he was showing you all the collateral copy, the stuff you can get paid for right now, the emails they always need, the advertorials, right? The different things. And so then we would basically, Joshua would train you on how to write these things. And then there was an open submission. Once you got it to where you felt good about it, and because Josh is so generous, he would look at it with you. He would give you notes. So basically you're getting free training to become a financial copywriter and put yourself in the best position to actually get hired. And again, when I say get hired, the other cool thing that's changed about the industry is they do a lot of dating now, right? They'll do like one-off paid projects where it's like, okay, it's like a paid test. And so it's not like, we think you have some talent, move across country. It's like, or join the team now and give up everything else you're doing. It's an appropriate, tiered process. And so Joshua has become, in Copy Chief, our sort of like premier go-to expert on not only financial copywriting, but how to have a career in it. Because as you heard, he's living it at its heights. Didn't even mention he's now a Copy Chief at Banyan Hill. As you know, and we'll get into this now, Joshua, because we want to give you the full picture. We're not here to like fluff this. Second myth, that nobody's hiring right now in financial. I want to be really transparent about what we know about this. There have been a lot of layoffs in the last year. I don't know how specific you want to get about that, Joshua, or we're okay to get, but there are teams that shrunk from, say, 40 copywriters to less than 10. And Joshua is one of the people who made that cut. Not only made that cut, but was advanced to Copy Chief, just so we have some context. Joshua, let's talk about, because I know a lot of people, if they're not paying attention and they're just hearing that, oh my God, nobody's hiring in finance right now and everybody's getting laid off. What's actually happening in that regard?
Yeah, and this is something that David Deutsch and I, David Deutsch is a great friend of Copy Chief and been on the episode before, been at Copy Chief Live before. He and I were just talking about this 2 days ago. What we think happened, I'll give you this isn't confidential. This is stuff that's pretty openly known. We had 37 copywriters when I joined Banyan Hill in 2021. We are down to 5.
Wow.
Okay. So, yeah. So, there was a big cut, but those cuts, we're starting to see there was a number of things. There was a bear market in 2000, and I'm not going to get to, because, hey, everybody listening, like, trust me, I didn't know anything about finance, investing. I grew up, lower middle-class family. Nobody ever invested in stocks. My dad thought it was a gamble. You're going to lose money. I never talked about money. I've got, when I started freelancing, I had $100,000 in student loan debt. You know what I mean? So like, it just, like Kevin said, I didn't grow up around money. I wasn't, a part of an affluent family. But you learn this stuff, and so 2022 was a bear market. A lot of stocks were down. The average tech stock was down 70%. There's inflation, recession fears. The bull market, the longest bull market in history from 2009 to 2020, and then it kind of erupted again in 2021, was all, cooled off. It was like cold water had been thrown on it. Obviously, changing events in the world added to that, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, all that kind of stuff, yada, 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 all affected the markets dramatically. And because of that, a lot of these publishers had to pull back on their copy teams. So there was layoffs across the board. What we found is that some of those cuts were made too deep. And now people are trying to do triage to bring back team members in a hurry to get the work out the door, because in 2023 so far, the market is back up like crazy. Amazon is up, Apple is up 40%, both of those stocks roughly. Facebook is up 140%. The big story in the last couple of weeks has been NVIDIA is filing their Q2 earnings. They're up now almost 170% for the year. If you look at, and this might be a little bit in the weeds, but if you look at the Agora companies, formerly Agora companies, that are now a publicly traded company under the umbrella called MarketWise. That's the parent company for Legacy, Stansberry, Tradesmith, Investor Place. There's a whole bunch of other sub-imprints. Their stock on the 7th, 2 days ago, was up almost 60% for the year, 62% for the year.
Incredible.
So if that's the indicator of health of a company, I'll just tell you right now, I own stock in MarketWise. Their presentation, investor presentation, like I said, for Q2, was showing that the investable market for the reachable market, for total addressable market, it's called in investing, for self-directed investors today in 2023 is $59 billion. $59 billion. Okay. Some other quick statistics here. In 2023, we're on June 9th of 2023. There have been 80,000 Bitcoin millionaires now to date. 40,000 of those were made in 2023. The first 6 months of 2023 have generated 40,000 more Bitcoin millionaires right now. You've got big stock news in the news today about Tesla and GM and their charging stations. So what we're seeing is in the first 6 months here that it's a pendulum. The market is swinging backwards now. We're not completely out of the woods yet. I know there's in recent weeks talk about debt ceilings and defaults and things like that. So we're not out of the woods yet. But what has happened is the market changes so fast. The market changes every day. And so now these publishers are rushing to get people on their teams, on copy teams, on marketing teams, on editorial teams, on production teams. And I'll tell you right now, I know for a fact, here's who's hiring right now in the financial publishing space. Banyan Hill, Money Map Press, Agora Financial, Stansberry Research, Tiffin Wealth, Seeking Alpha, and Legacy Research. I know for a fact right now that those companies are hiring. Are they all copy positions? No, some of them are. Some of them are email production. Some of them are editorial. But Evaldo Albuquerque, who I know Dave works with, he started his first couple of years in financial publishing as an analyst.
Yeah.
The number of copywriters that got their foot in the door, either in proofreading roles, analyst roles, editorial roles, research role. Aaron DeHogue and Jed Canty, two of the best copywriters of all time. I worked with Jed at Money Map. I worked with Jed now at Banyan. Aaron's obviously the CEO. These guys started in telesales and customer service, working with Mark Ford in the early 2000s. And now these guys Aaron is the CEO of Banyan Hill.
Incredible. Yeah. I mean, again, and that's the thing about this industry, right? It's hungry. It moves fast. If it clicks for you, it's not like these people are geniuses, right? They're incredibly good at what they do. It's just that their natural skill set, the way they see the world, the skills that was, natural for them to develop, work well in this industry. And now they're at the top, right? Evaldo Albuquerque speaking a second language for him. And writing, being maybe the top copywriter in finance, right? And so again, point of this thing today is like, it may not be for you, but check first. That's my nutshell for you right there. Check first.
And I would love to. I'm sorry, Kevin. Go. I apologize. No, and I know we got a lot of questions. I want to be conscious of time. Yeah. This chat is blowing up. And I just want to be clear here too, by the way, because Jason added some really good commentary in the chat box. Like so far, a lot of the conversation has focused just around financial publishing in the traditional Agora model. But right now, there are opportunities in fintech, financial technology, in crypto and blockchain, in decentralized finance right now, in real estate and raw land. Here's a shocking statistic. We need 5 million new homes in America over the next 5 years. And they ain't making land anymore. Walmart's not selling land anymore. So there's a huge boom right now in multifamily unit investing, in real estate investing, in foreclosures because of the bear markets. Unfortunately, a lot of people had foreclosed on their homes, but there are investing opportunities and therefore marketing opportunities and copywriting opportunities in some of these alternative forms to investing. NFTs, AI, what AI is doing. So I just read that Smart Blogger, one of the biggest online websites for writing, LinkedIn and Upwork, all within April and May, I read blogs and articles from these websites, all listed financial copywriting as the #1 highest paying niche for freelance writers in 2023. But it has always been that way. Yeah. There's just so much opportunity right now. There's just so much opportunity.
100%. And without getting distracted by it, you want to talk about AI proofing your abilities. There's so much nuance and fast moving data, trends, tracking. ChatGPT will never be able to understand that, certainly not be able to take all those factors and turn it into something usefully creative. Again, just for context, if it's even on your mind, AI is an amazing creative assistant for you, a great research tool. But particularly in this market, it's not even really on the radar as more than that for these companies.
And I'll just say here too, really quick, we've been trying AI in some of the editorial, and it is what it is. But here's the deal. If you go to ChatGPT, even their 4 version, they're limited. Their knowledge base is limited, I think, to like 2021. The stock market moves every day. Somebody just posted, the S&P hit a new bull market yesterday, a new bull market high. We've got 2 years of stock market data and real-time trading every day, that AI has no knowledge of and can't have a knowledge of, because what's news today will be outdated even in a couple of years. And so for AI to try to catch up with where we are right now, it's impossible. Will that come in the future? Possibly, but not anytime soon. It won't.
Yeah. All right, let's take a few questions. If anybody wants to come on and ask, Tim's here, my man, Tim Deering. Great to see you, buddy. Again, one of the top financial copywriters in the world, Tim Deering, a great supporter and copy chief. Does anybody want to come on and add something or ask a question? I always love seeing you, chatting with you. Is anybody itching to go like, Kev, bring me on? Okay, John, let's talk to John. Allowed to talk, I guess, promote to panelists. John is currently in our Escape Velocity program, doing great work, asking great questions. Again, it's that momentum. Do something. And he's a musician. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how you doing?
Good to see you.
Well, you actually kind of answered part of what I asked about. But in terms of the, I guess from a 50,000 foot view of financial writing, is it more about, like, and Tim, I think kind of just answered this, it's more about connecting ideas, not so much about knowing this product, that product, or whatever, as far as options or whatever. I have a very rudimentary idea about crypto or whatever. How specific do you need to know about the financial products? Because I don't even look. I was a stockbroker at one point, which is basically smiling and dialing. That's all it was. It was how many phone calls can you get in? How many connects? How many times can you get a guy to say yes? It was all about getting a guy to say yes. It wasn't about ideas. You were just told what to do, and you just called Mr. Jones in Mississippi or Kentucky or Iowa or wherever the hell you were calling, and just trying to open accounts. That's what I was doing. So, and my understanding also of the structure of everything, and you have a chief, and then who generate. I don't know who generates ideas. Are you supposed?
That's a great question. Let's talk about the team structure, how all that works, Joshua.
Yeah, those are both great questions. And since Tim is on the team, I wouldn't mind if he wanted to chime in, not to put him on the spot or anything, but Tim is great. He has been a leader in the copy chief community, and obviously somebody I respect and look to for advice on a regular basis at Banyan Hill. But the first thing I'll say, John, and thank you for coming on, a great question, man. And I'm so glad to meet you in person here today. Number one, like I said, I didn't have any experience in financial before I started writing financial copy. It's not about the technical or the fundamental analysis. It's not about the algorithm trades and knowing these different complicated butterfly option spreads and things like that. You don't have to know all the ins and outs of the crypto and the nodes and the blockchain contracts and things like that. You don't have to know all that. It's about selling an idea. Bill Bonner, the founder of Agora, always talks about us being in an idea business, a big idea that's going to have an impact on the investors' lives, on the market, on the economy, on the world, and so with financial copy, you are selling ideas, and those ideas usually are very simple. When I put together a platform for a promo, I have at the top, what is the idea in one sentence? If it takes me, because the biggest ideas are often, conveyed in the smallest amount of words. You've got one idea. I think back to Mike Palmer, who we mentioned earlier, and the Stansberry bootcamp that they did. He wrote the greatest selling VSL in financial of all time, End of America. 3 words, End of America. But look how big that idea is. 3 words, massive idea. And so, when you get to back end products, there might be, there's always going to be an investing system. There's always going to be a stock recommendation. Tim wrote a very, very successful back end promo that just launched last month. He and I launched back end promos a week apart. His blew mine out of the water. Great guy. And it was all about successful stories around successful decisions that CEOs had made. And it was 4 stories, Tim's on. Yeah. It was 4 stories. So Tim, I know we talked about ideas and stories here. What would you say? What would you add to that? He may not be on yet. Maybe
No,
I thought
I'm here. No, sorry. Am I audible? Can you hear
you
me?
are audible. Yeah, we don't see you. We
Oh,
don't
wait,
see
very
that
good.
handsome
Let me
face.
stop
But
my
that's
video.
okay.
There we go.
There we
All right,
go.
there we
There
go.
he is.
I shaved a little.
wizard.
I trimmed the
Yeah.
beard a little bit.
It looks good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I like you, John. I started as a stockbroker many years ago, back in the early '90s, and so when I first discovered financial copywriting, it seemed that I had you don't need to know about everything because there's a lot of nuance. You can rely on the guru to be the expert. Your job is, like you said, it's connecting dots. It's about relating ideas, and from based on everything I'm seeing right now in the market and everything I'm hearing from other publishers and other copywriters, is that what's really working right now, and this has always been my core belief in copywriting anyway, is telling a story. People are responding to stories. They're not responding to promises. They're not responding to, and to get to that story is where the idea comes from. We talk a lot about big ideas, but the big idea is simply the one thing that's going to make them stop and click through. And for the most part, right now, that idea is based on is being told through a story, whether it's through stories of stocks, stories through new technology, stories of, because when you tell a stock story, you don't have to worry about making crazy promises. You don't have to worry about anything. If the story is good enough, people are going to read through because they want to know what's really going on. And also, just traditionally, going back thousands and thousands of years, story has been the way that all human beings have communicated. Yeah. And so my first question is, what's the story I'm telling? And again, you can have a million different ideas, but if you have to be able to put it in a relatable story to get it, to get people to not just read it, but to remain interested in it. And if you follow the structures of classic stories, with there's an opening, there's a tease, there's the middle part, and then there's a payoff. That's pretty much what all copywriting is, but especially financial copywriting.
I'm thinking of. That makes, John, does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. Gives me hope.
That's great, Tim. And, I'm reminded right now, just a couple of promos, front end promos right now that are a little bit more macro in terms of bigger ideas, but they all tell a story. The first one, Kevin had mentioned Tim Sykes earlier, one of his imprints, it's called Elon's Endgame. 2 words, Elon's Endgame. There's a story wrapped up in there. There's another one that Porter Stansberry has running at his new company, Porter & Co. It's called The 2 Men Destroying America. The 2 Men Destroying America. Another one that Porter has, America's Secret Energy Grid. These are like 5-word stories. Do you know what I mean? But it ropes you in. For our audience, for the traditional Agora buyer, the traditional financial publisher buyer, there's a story there that ropes them in. You want to know more. Tell me more. Tell me more about that.
And this is why I emphasize the point that studying financial copywriting will make you a better copywriter, no matter where you go. Like Tim said, that's just true of all copywriting. It's story, it's understanding the ideas, it's building that filter of, do these two things connect? I don't know, maybe there's something better. It makes the research really fun, right? Because you know what you're looking for and you start to get excited when you see some possibilities. And then it's just about connecting the ideas. Again, the stuff is as old as humankind. They discover a cave from a lost civilization, and what do they see on the walls? Stories, right? The big hunt, warning, mammoth coming. Don't try to stab this beast, it will eat you. It's always been story. And so that's what we do. That's what we love. That, to me, is the joyous part of being in this industry. In finance, you're just wrapping it around market trends. What makes you such a specialist, and why financial copywriters are so highly regarded, is, I think, 2 things. Number one is it's the most competitive. And so your ideas have to be big and bold and strong and really developed. Cool thing is you never have to work alone. Talk about living up to our tagline, nobody writes alone. That kind of came to me from seeing how financial companies operate. There's always a team. John. And so to answer that question, there is a chief at the top, and then there are junior writers underneath. The junior writers are, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, doing two things. One is they're writing collateral, they're writing email, they call them lift notes, they're writing advertorials, they're writing all the other pieces that support offers. But in the background, they're kept aware of upcoming promos or trends. Like right now, I think somebody just released a big AI is going to ruin the world, but there's an opportunity type promo. So AI is becoming a trend in that. And you get to walk around and do research, thinking of ideas that would fit an upcoming promo. And you get to pitch those ideas to the chief. If it sticks, they'll assign you that promo and work with you to develop it. Is that pretty much how it goes, guys?
It's very much a collaborative process. And even like right now, I mean, everybody at Banyan is, chiefs or former chiefs or senior level copywriters anyway. And it's kind of almost that first among equals mentality, even because Aaron, obviously, just a great copywriter, Judd's a great copywriter. But we had a copy call on Tuesday. We have a weekly copy call, and, Tim and I both have upcoming promos we're working on. And it was like a clinic on our ideas, wasn't it, Tim? For like an hour, just batting around amongst the highest level copywriters in the industry. Aaron and I did a call right before this with my publisher and the guru that I'm going to write for. It was an hour call about getting clear on the idea. So it's a ongoing process. It's continually changing, adapting, refining, making it better, making it stronger. No one person has the idea. No one person has a foothold on the idea. It is very much a team. Yeah. Go ahead, Tim.
That's absolutely true. No, I was on a call yesterday with Aaron and Jed and our guru for over 2 hours.
Yeah.
Just going through everything, making sure we understood the story, the timeline, what we were saying, where the guru was coming from, but also where the audience is and what's the hook is. No one has a monopoly on ideas, and no one knows the right idea. What you do is you get to an approximation of what the best idea for this story is, and then you run with it. And 9 times out, half the time you're gonna, it's like Ted Williams, the greatest hitter in the history of the world, but he still, he only was hit 4 out of 10 times in his best year. And I think that in copywriting it might be a little better depending on the writer, but that's, it just keep Ted Williams in your mind when you're working on it, but no, that's the idea, is no one has a monopoly on the best. There is no one best idea. It's getting all the ideas together and figuring out which one's going to work best for the audience.
Let me ask this. When does the big payday come? If you're kind of a junior, you're in there feeling your way around, what's the opportunity for you to get that royalty money? How does that look? How does that work?
I think, that's always, okay. So first of all, I would say, when I had $281 in my bank account, $1,000, sales page was big money to me. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of subjective on where you are, you know what I mean? But in general, I think they're in the Stansberry Bootcamp article, Mike Palmer had said something like, even as a junior copywriter, you have to work hard not to earn 6 figures. I mean, we know people at junior level roles at a lot of these firms that are doing $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 either as a employee W-2 or as a independent contractor on some kind of a retainer basis. At a minimum, that's high 5 figures there. If you got if you are doing short form and have a 2 or 3 or 4% royalty, depending on arrangements, things like that, on your emails, and your email sells $50,000 a week. You just do the math on that. You get that percentage of a commission throughout the year. And right now, most Agora companies are selling up to $1 million a month. Back in the heyday, the go-go years, 2016 to 2020, you're doing 10 to 12 million a month in sales. You know what I mean? And so it's very realistic. If you're a more senior level copywriter, you could be making 6 figures on retainer easy. Add to that, if you've got a 5% payout on a front end and a 3% payout on the back end, $1 million promo, there's 30 grand in royalties. You do that once, twice a year. You get 5 promos out a year. 1 or 2 of them are going to flop. 1 or 2 of them are going to be base hits. One of them is going to be a big winner. And that could be anything from $1 to $2 to $3 million in this environment right now. That might be a little aggressive for launch week, but throughout the life of the promo over the year, it's Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I could put a timeline on it, like how soon,
Right,
like,
it's
hey,
different for everybody, but
It is
I just
different.
wanted,
It
I
is
wanted,
different for everybody.
I wanted to show what the process looked like, because these are the kind of things I didn't understand. And if I would have, it would have excited me. If I would have heard somebody like Tim back then say, you know, it really comes down to story. Don't worry about what you don't know. You're going to learn that stuff. Can you connect ideas and write great stories? That's how I approached everything I ever wrote from that lens. And that would have made me go, oh, wow. And secondly, I just didn't understand the hierarchy, how it looked. Do I have to just come in and write this amazing promo if I have no experience? No, it's a stepped process. You get brought. The thing about it is it's such a great collaborative team environment, because they want anybody in the company to understand this process and develop that copy thinking, right? Because they know that's what they can find people to write words. It's not that hard. I've been saying a lot. Words are the number 3 job of a copywriter. Number 1 is ideas. Number 2 is the ability to sell, to understand the sales argument, right? Then come the words. Words aren't the problem. It's copy thinking, big ideas, understanding the market. The other thing, I just to loop around what I was saying before about what makes you bulletproof in any other industry, is compliance. Okay, that's sort of the dragon of the industry. Anything that goes out goes through a stringent legal process. That's a good thing, because you're not at the mercy of somebody just going, sounds good to me, let's see how it works. And next thing you know, there's a lawsuit, right? That's not going to happen. But because you got to now take all your creative ideas and run it through the very uncreative filter of a legal team, it makes it challenging. You have to think about, how do I still get this across, but do it in a way that doesn't possibly mislead somebody in any way whatsoever. So people outside of finance go, here's a person who succeeded in the most competitive industry in the world, and they understand how to not break the law. That makes you bulletproof anywhere you go. And that's why anyone in direct response understands a financial copywriter is the gold standard. Okay. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Jon. Great questions. Really appreciate you guys hopping on. We got to wrap. It's hard to stick to time on these, but I want to keep that promise. And real quickly, most importantly, I want to tell you next step. Somebody was asking about next step. We got you. As you can see, we're very excited about this, because we're solving a problem that's existed for a very long time in this industry. Joshua and I teamed up to solve this problem. The next step is for you to attend a webinar we're doing, a free webinar on Tuesday, the 14th at 2 p.m. Eastern. It's called The 3 Emails Financial Publishers Will Pay You to Write Today. And Joshua's going to walk you through and teach you how to write the 3 emails that they're always hiring people to write, because they have an endless need for them and they don't have enough people on their staff to do them. So again, full circle, the great news about the fact that there has been some layoffs, that teams have been forced to shrink. You're coming in at a spot where the markets are turning around. That means these companies are going to grow back to their healthy level. That means they're going to be hiring people onto their teams. But for now, you get to come in and just sell them some really simple to write emails. But you have to understand enough about the industry and how they go about things to be front of the line to do that. And so Joshua's going to teach you that on Tuesday, 2 p.m. I think Lola's dropping the link right there.
It's Wednesday, the 14th. June 14th.
Sorry, Wednesday the 14th.
Wednesday the 14th at 2 p.m. Yeah. And really, you know, these 3 emails, I think if you, like what you said earlier with the Frank Sinatra song, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. These are emails that if you learn how to master the concepts and the emotions behind these 3 emails, they're applicable to any niche, but there is a direct money skill correlation to applying them to financial publishers, fintech companies, crypto companies, and the like. And so we'll cover that all next Wednesday, June 14th at 2 p.m. There's a link to sign up in the chat.
Yeah. And if you're in Copy Chief, you'll see it featured. If you're not in Copy Chief, watch my emails. You're going to be hearing a lot more about this from me and from Joshua over the next 2 weeks. We got some really, really cool stuff to share with you. So thanks for being here. I hope this was enlightening, educational. Again, this is the stuff I really wish I would have done when I was actively freelancing. It would have been a different career. Joshua, you're the man. Thanks so much. And we'll see you guys inside, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
Thanks, Kevin. See you, everybody.
Bye-bye.